Here we're going to start with the graph of f of x equals x squared, which is going to be our common parabola, your u-shape. And so to get those points to plot, we can go ahead and plug in the integers from -2 to 2. So -2 squared would be a positive 4. -1 squared is positive 1. 0 squared, 1 squared, and 2 squared. So let's go ahead and plot these points here. -2, 4. -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. So that gives us our u-shape or parabola there for our x squared function. Now when we look at our equation for g of x, we see multiple transformations being indicated. And so anytime we have more than one transformation, we need to apply them or perform them in a certain order in order to obtain the correct graph. So there is an order of transformations. First up, the first transformation we would need to perform would be any kind of horizontal shifts. Next, we would need to do any stretching or shrinking, and that includes either vertical or horizontal stretches. Third, we would need to apply any reflections. So that would be either a reflection over the x-axis or the y-axis, or possibly both. And last would be a vertical shift. So in looking back at our equation up here, let's go ahead and identify what we have. So this 2, that is a multiple, and a multiple indicates some type of stretch or shrink, be it vertical or horizontal. Since that multiple is outside, in other words, it's not directly right there on the x, it's outside. So we're squaring something first and then multiplying by 2. That's affecting our y coordinates, because we obtained our y coordinates by squaring the x. And so we're already going to square something and then we're going to multiply by 2. So that's affecting our y coordinates. That's a vertical stretch by a factor of 2 there. So things are going to get stretched away from the x-axis by a factor of 2. So I have that here as my second step, a stretch shrink. Okay, so we'll need to apply that one second. So I'll go ahead and kind of keep track for our particular problem here. I do have a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. And so let's go back to our equation and look at -1. Since that's being subtracted there from the x directly before the square happens, that's affecting our x coordinates. So that's a horizontal shift, and that's going to go to the right 1. Remember, the horizontal shifts are kind of backwards of what we would think intuitively. That -1, we'd be tempted to say that's to the left. It's actually to the right. So we do have a horizontal shift there to the right 1, so that'll need to be our first step. And then finally we have that +3 there on the end. So that's 3 being added to our old y coordinates because it's after things are squared. And so that's going to be a vertical shift. And because it's positive, it's going up 3. So we don't have any reflections in this problem. There were no negatives, no negative multiples. And so we do have that vertical shift going up 3. So for each of these 5 points that we've plotted, we need to move those points right 1 and then vertically stretch them by a factor of 2. And then go up 3. So if I start with this point -2, 4, I'm going to go right 1. So now it's at -1, 4. To vertically stretch it by a factor of 2 means we want to pull it away from the x-axis by twice as much. And so double the y coordinate. So we're at -1, 4. Doubling the y coordinate is going to put us at -1, 8. And then we'd want to go up 3. So up 1, 2, 3. That would put us at -1, 11. And then do the same thing for each of the other 4 points. Go right 1, vertical stretch by a factor of 2, and then go up 1, 2, 3. Right 1, vertical stretch there is not going to move that, and then go up 1, 2, 3. Right 1, vertical stretch, and go up 1, 2, 3. Right 1, vertical stretch, up 3. And go ahead and connect our dots in the U-shape. Now to double check our answer, let me pick one of these points and plug it back into the equation to make sure I get a true statement. So I'm going to pick that point 3, 11. And by plugging a 3 in for x into that function g of x, we can see that it does work out to give us a y coordinate of 11.